Westerhoff had managed to build strong connections with the vice president, Augustine Ikomu, and Yusuf Ali from the NFA. In one of their early meetings, he spoke plainly. He told them that if they could give him 3 years, he would build a team nobody in Africa could beat. But the money, he insisted, must come straight from the NFA to him. Not through the Ministry of Sports, not through the Secretary General, not through the NFA chairman. The old system took too long, and nobody was satisfied. The players weren't happy, the coach wasn't happy, and even organizing simple things became a struggle. They agreed to his request, and from that point on, under Abacha's administration, the rules changed. There was a friendly match against Ghana once, and a bonus of $180,000 was provided in cash. Keishi approached the coach for the money, and they brought it in Ghana must-go bags. Right there, the players shared it among themselves. During his time in Nigeria, Westerhoff met Dominic, an Argentine coaching Ranchers Bees. Dominic insisted that Westerhoff must come to Kaduna. He said he had an attacker the world had not seen, a young boy, strong as a horse. Before that trip, Westerhoff had been in Port Harcourt, watching a Benz tournament, where he first saw Rashidi Yekini, a powerful striker, tall, lean, fast, and focused, who played with incredible strength and hunger for goals. Westerhoff immediately invited Yekini to the national team camp. From Port Harcourt to Kaduna, they rented a taxi, driving through cities, bushes, and empty roads for hours. When they arrived, he watched Daniel Amokachi play. After the match, Westerhoff went into the players' bus to sit. Amokachi approached him, thinking he was lost, and explained the bus was for players. But Westerhoff calmly replied that he knew he was the new technical advisor of the Nigerian national team. Amokachi apologized and asked how he could help. Westerhoff told him he wanted him on the national team. Amokachi asked if they were serious over there. Westerhoff answered with the same question, "If that is enough for you, I am serious." And Amokachi agreed. That Monday, both Yekini and Amokachi reported to camp. Westerhoff flew back to Lagos from Kaduna, but on arrival, NFA chairman Patrick Ukpoma was furious. He questioned whether Westerhoff had lost his mind, traveling by taxi from Port Harcourt to Kaduna through dangerous roads. He warned him that armed robbers could have attacked him, or kidnappers could have targeted him as a foreigner. But Westerhoff simply replied that Nigerians respected him and understood what he was trying to build. Patrick remained angry, instructing him never to take such a risk again. Westerhoff agreed. Later, Grandpa and his grandson, now older, visited the open camp training and watched how Westerhoff shouted instructions and pushed the players hard. They saw the intensity. They saw the work. In the Nations Cup tournaments that followed, the team picked up bronze and silver medals. Nigerian newspapers began to criticize the team, questioning why they were not winning gold. Headlines demanded Westerhoff's removal. The Minister of Sports, the flamboyant Alex Akinyele, summoned him and Chief Williams, the man who brought him to Nigeria. They told him that finishing third was unacceptable, and the president wanted to hear an explanation himself. They all went to meet Abacha. Abacha sat at the head table, surrounded by top dignitaries. The players sat opposite him. He ordered the press, and even the families of the players, to leave. He wanted to speak to the team alone. He asked if anyone had something to say about what happened in Senegal. Nobody spoke, except Westerhoff. He raised his hand. He explained that what happened was simply 2 or 3 seconds of not marking a player. A technical lapse. Then he looked at Abacha and said there was something he wanted. Abacha asked what it was. Westerhoff told him the truth, that money meant for the team passed through too many hands. From the president, to the vice president, to the sports minister, to the NFA chairman, to the secretary general, and by the time it reached the team, half of it was gone. People sat on the money. Abacha paused, then asked if the coach already knew how things worked in Nigeria. But he agreed. From that moment onward, the money would go straight to Westerhoff. Right there, Westerhoff made enemies in Nigeria. The sports minister, the NFA chairman, all of them looked bitter as the president granted his request. And Westerhoff promised Abacha on the spot, give him 2 more years and he would win the Nations Cup and take Nigeria to the World Cup. Preparation began. Westerhoff brought in Bonfrere Joe to join the coaching staff. During this period, Yekini returned from his club in Ivory Coast only to discover that a close friend living with him had stolen all the money he had been saving in his house. Furious and betrayed, he sent the man away and became more private, keeping even family members at a distance. The Green Eagles qualified for the Nations Cup in Tunisia. There was a ceremony at Le Méridien with dignitaries from all over. Westerhoff climbed the stage and declared that Nigeria now had a team worthy of national pride, a team unbeatable if everyone worked together without selfishness, from the players to the technical crew to the administrators. He promised that they would win the Nations Cup and also qualify for the World Cup. The hall erupted in applause. Then came the World Cup qualifier against Ivory Coast. The Ivorians played tricks. They denied Nigeria access to the pitch for training. They watered the field the night before. The players had to eat at the embassy. On match day, they brought a man with a pot on his head onto the pitch, some sort of ritual display. But within 5 minutes, Yekini scored. Nigeria only needed a draw. They had already beaten Ivory Coast 4-1 in Nigeria. During the match, Sayeja cut in from the right while Yekini ran into the box screaming for the ball. He was in a perfect position to score, but Sayeja went for glory himself and missed. On the bench, Westerhoff was furious, kicking in frustration. After the match, the coaches confronted Sayeja. Westerhoff asked if he didn't see Yekini. Sayeja said no. He asked if he didn't hear him. Sayeja repeated no. Westerhoff told him that if he neither saw nor heard Yekini, then he needed the coach's glasses. He accused him of being selfish, playing for personal glory instead of the nation. Sayeja walked away angrily, muttering that Yekini was the selfish one. After that, Amakachi became Yekini's new strike partner. Sayeja was dropped. Then came the final World Cup qualifier, Nigeria versus Algeria in Algiers. Nigeria needed only a draw. The stadium was almost empty, as Algeria's coach had been sacked and the fans stayed home. Westerhoff told the players this was an advantage. Score, then defend. A draw was enough. Before kickoff, the referee approached Westerhoff and smiled, telling him he was close to qualifying for his first World Cup. Westerhoff replied, "By the grace of God, and by your whistle." They laughed. Finidi scored in the first half. Nigeria led 1-0 at halftime. Inside the dressing room, Alex Akinyele stormed in, shouting that he wanted 4 goals. Westerhoff told him that in Lagos he could be the boss, but inside the dressing room, the coach was in charge. They wanted to go to the World Cup, and Akinyele needed to leave. The minister warned that they would meet again in Lagos. In the second half, Algeria equalized. It was 1-1. Westerhoff looked up to the sky, silently praying for help. When the referee blew the final whistle, Westerhoff threw his hands up and shouted in joy. Nigeria had qualified for its first ever World Cup. From a small village in Holland, he had taken Nigeria to the world stage. Celebrations filled the streets across the country. At Le Méridien, the grandson, now older and schooling in the United States, walked out of his room with his mother. On their way to breakfast, he spotted Yekini and Alise in the lobby. Excited, he rushed to them for an autograph. He hugged Yekini, who looked a bit surprised before smiling at the boy. The boy thanked him for qualifying Nigeria for the World Cup and said he hoped they would win. Yekini smiled and said he hoped so too. The boy said he would be in the stands in the US. He gave Alise the paper to sign and begged him to look after Yekini. Alise said he would. The boy proudly declared his dream of playing for Nigeria someday. Alise told him he would be watching out for him. Yekini smiled and told him to be a good boy. They parted ways as the team went for breakfast. During breakfast, the grandson and his mother sat close by, observing the team. He overheard the players discussing a possible boycott of the friendly match against Ghana due to unpaid entitlements. The boy felt sad. He had traveled partly to watch that match, and he prayed Yekini wasn't part of the protest. When the NFA chairman heard of the impending boycott, he rushed to the hotel with military officials. Led by Keishi, the players stood their ground. No payment, no mash. Fans were already filling the national stadium, and the Ghanaian team waited in the locker room. After hours of negotiation, a compromise was reached. The team rushed into the bus, arriving at the stadium an hour late. The fans were angry at first, but when the team filed out, the atmosphere transformed. Ghana fought hard. It felt like a tournament match, and it ended 0-0. The next day, the team flew to Faro, Portugal, to begin final preparations for the much-anticipated 1994 Nations Cup in Tunisia.